Good evening, everyone. Some tornado survivors in Butler County are one step closer to getting financial help months after a deadly tornado damaged hundreds of homes.
And it'll come thanks to an outpouring of support in the days and weeks after that storm. Ahmad Lathan joins us live in the studio to tell us more about it. Ahmad?
Jeff and Kathy, the fundraising effort is called Bluff Strong, and it raised more than $10,000 to help homeowners impacted by the March tornado. Now it's time to decide who will receive that financial help. That process is being handled by the South Central Community Action Agency. The group ended the application process yesterday and is now reviewing them based on a resident's income and need. County EMA Director Robbie Myers tells me county leadership decided how the money would be distributed.
It was collectively decided South Central Community Action Agency was uniquely qualified by just what they do every day in helping families and knowing how to best distribute and best make that money go to the appropriate people, but also make sure we was distributed to help as many people as possible.
The South Central CAA received 35 applications for assistance. There's no word yet as to when that money will start going out to tornado victims. In the studio, Ahmad Lathan, Heartland News.